So I'm on this website. I guess it's the New York Knicks main website, dailyknicks.com, and I'm reading this article from Maxwell. I think the guy's name is Maxwell Ogden, and saying that Derrick Rose is working on his jump shot. He goes on to say the New York Knicks point guard Derrick Rose is working on his jump shot. It's only training camp, but it's beginning to look like a strength. The notion that a player needs to be an elite shooter to be successful in the modern era has been disproven on a rather consistent basis. LeBron James has never qualified for the distinction, yet he's a three-time NBA champion. Now, first of all, I've never heard anybody say that you have to be an elite shooter to be successful in the NBA. What I've always heard analysts and great players say is that you have to be at least a threat from outside. Unless you have ungodly size like a Wilt Chamberlain or Daryl Dawkins or a Shaquille O'Neal, a player like that, Aldous Gilmore, who actually had touch from outside. Unless you're a guy like that, then you have to eventually develop some type of outside shot. Evidence of that, 1984 NBA Finals, all right? Magic Johnson. People pretty much, the Boston Celtics figured out, okay, this guy is a phenomenal point guard. But you know what? He doesn't have much of a jump shot. So let's just let him beat us. Let's double Kareem. Let's take everybody else out. Let Magic beat us. And he couldn't consistently hit an outside shot. And they lost. And also Magic uncharacteristically had turnovers. Wasn't quite Magic Johnson that series. But ultimately, for the rest of his career, Magic Johnson worked on his outside shot. And while he never became, you will never confuse Magic Johnson for Peja Stojakovic or Stephen Curry or Dale Ellis or Mark Price. Okay, no. But he became a threat that you had to respect from outside. That's what the argument is. And that's what Derrick Rose has been regressing on. It is true in his MVP year, Derrick Rose was somewhat of a volume scorer, but he was efficient enough that he was effective in a threat you had to worry about. He shot 33% from beyond the arc. I think that season he shot something around, 45% from the field or something like that. Okay. In subsequent seasons, after the injuries, he's not explosive as he once was. But he's regressed. He's become a guy who shoots at times abysmally from beyond the arc. I think last year he finished about 30%, but it took a torrid stretch down the end to get him to that number. Because I remember at one point in time during the season, he was shooting something like 8% from downtown or 10%. It was something that you don't see in modern basketball. So yeah, one of the criticisms that Derrick Rose has been inefficient and inconsistent from outside. And since he's not as explosive as he once was, and you kind of don't want the guy to pummel himself driving to the basket and get injured again. He has to become more of a jump shooter. And one of the criticisms I have with this team is that you see Porzingis and you see Carmelo Anthony, who's probably entering out of his prime years, and Derrick Rose. You have a bunch of volume scorers. Not to mention that this team, I believe, also has Brandon Jennings, who's the ultimate example of a volume scorer. Whenever you have a team like this with a bunch of volume scorers, I just cringe because there's not enough basketball to go around, and these guys are going to have some nights where they just shoot horribly. Which doesn't make sense. Which really irritates me because the Knicks teams of the late 90s, if many of you guys remember, Knicks fans and basketball fans, didn't really have a lot of scores on that team. So they really went through stretches where, they had scores, but Larry Johnson was declining as a player. Patrick Ewing was declining as a player. Chris Childs was somewhat inconsistent from outside, somewhat. He could hit it on occasion, but he wasn't knocked down. John Starks was there, but then he left. Outside of Allen Houston, I remember Allen Houston, he was there. And then I'm not including Latrell Sprewell. That was a little bit later. But even if you include him, that Knicks team was inconsistent as far as scoring. They would go through stretches where they couldn't score at all. And the thing about this team, I think they'll have stretches where they have scores. They're going to have times where they're going to score a lot of points. Then they're going to have times where it's going to be maddening to watch these guys because they're going to miss a whole bunch of fucking shots. You know, I can see this team having some nights where they score 120 points, and they're going to have some nights where they only score 85 points, 80 points. So, I mean, it's good news that Derrick Rose is working on his jump shot, but, you know, he'll never be the player that he once was. And I just hope this team at least finishes above 500. But tell me what you guys think.